All right, good afternoon, everyone. Today I'm here with Dr. Liu, the amazing Dr. Liu, and we're talking about sustainability in China, developing career, mentoring the youth, but also how you get yourself through a bad day in sustainability. So thank you, Dr. Liu. We're very much looking forward to it, and we hope that you will enjoy the next episode. All right, Dr. Liu, thank you very much for the time you're taking to meet with us.
Yeah, pleasure to see you again, Richard.
Always. I mean, it's been forever. We tend to get busy and then we go down for a while, right?
Yeah.
Do me a favor, give me your background, like your personal background, your 30-second introduction about yourself to date.
Okay, great. I started working with the United Nations back to 1992 as a diplomat for UN, installing e-trade platform globally, including China. Then I joined BHP Billiton as the online communication strategy manager. Had the opportunity to be part of the integration after merger and acquisition between BHP and Billiton. Then I joined RGE, working for a subsidiary group within RGE, and being the chairman of Asia Symbol Pulp and Paper Limited, managing the mill operation, where I found a lot of challenges in environmental impact, social impact, community impact, which was a great experience for me to dive into the depths of sustainability. And now I joined Brunswick Group as a senior advisory role to help corporations to think about their sustainability strategy.
What got you into this? Like, what? How did you? What's your trajectory from starting point to now on sustainability? Like,
it's a long journey for me, and I must say sustainability started from the environmental focus, which is a green, but gradually it gets into sustainable business. Then it becomes really a center of what is the business role in the society and how they play the role. When I joined BHP Billiton as a mining company, it operates with so many challenges, and the mining side, safety is a very critical issue, and also digging a hole in our earth, and you have that environmental impact, and operating it, you have also environmental impact. Maintaining it and growing a community around the mining operational site, it has a social impact. So I get a lot of experiences on site working with our operational teams, and I've seen a lot of good practices, but also learnings from that, how people dealt with sustainability issue.
Now, just a question. I mean, obviously, I won't ask you to speak for BHP, but for the mining industry, for the extraction industry, do you think that these industries have a long life to them? I mean, we're seeing that coal is already being a lot of pressure. Do you feel that even if the best practices enough, and do you feel the industry actually understands the challenge that they actually, like, their role? Do you think they accept that responsibility?
I do think so, because mining, or larger scale of it, resource industry, perhaps was the earlier industry sector who was challenged by sustainability issue, because the nature of the operation that has a so deep touch on the big issue, as I mentioned about digging a hole, and also bring people from all over the world working on a very remote, isolated area, where how those people work, being safe, but also growing their family as well. And I think this sector understood better earlier than the others, because that nature of the operation. But having said that, with the transformation of our society and industry evolution, the understanding of sustainability issues for mining has been always a journey to upgrade and get more relevance to societal progress.
Okay.
So that journey has never stopped.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think they are still developing and embracing and delivering good practice.
Sure. I'm trying to think, like, going for, I mean, what are some of the key challenges you learned there? I mean, the industry itself pushes back, and this isn't just BHP, this is also
Yes.
the paper and pulp industry as well. They push back. How do you navigate that? I mean, you're a sustainability ambassador because you're the leader, you are leading BHP and you are leading, RGE as well. How do you go to your leaders, to your direct line, or to the people below the operational, and convince them to do more, to do better, to think beyond compliance? Like, how do you do that?
Well, it's not very evident, to be honest. It's quite a challenging task because for most of the corporation and enterprises, they have business priorities. And growing and developing the business is pretty much the core of that priorities. But at the same time, making a business sustainable, it's also part of the priority. I think being an ambassador for sustainability, my focus is trying to align that business priority and the social expectations. And because we always use this term, license to operate, which is really the foundation for any corporation and companies to sustain and grow for longer term. And therefore, I think that's the interest of CEO or senior management team as well. And that's also the interest of their employee as well. Because if an enterprise does not operate, responsibly, does not operate in a sustainable manner, it will disappear very quickly. Alignment is the key word I want to use. Align top down, bottom up on the goal of sustainable long-term growth. Align with national priorities where you operate. Align employees' interest and the vision of the company, but also the day-to-day operation delivered by the employee. That's very important.
So speaking about national interests, are there some issues or some interests in China that naturally lend themselves to sustainability more so than, say, the United States or Western Europe?
I think so. You can look at from the path of industrial evolution as different countries are in different stage of the journey, so they always have different priorities. For China, after 30 years of reform, and now China get onto the phase of economically everything move very fast, but it carries also the consequences of social gaps, for example, and environmental impact, pollution, that people has constantly complained about. So I think for China, now the government and also the society recognized sustainability is now the top priority for this country. And particularly after when China became second largest GDP in the world, what is our future? We can go sustainably. So definitely environmental impact and social innovation to get our industry into a more sustainable manner and operating in a very socially responsible way are the most important priorities.
Now, given that the national level alignments are happening, does that open up opportunities for leaders and for firms to then move forward with sustainability in a way that maybe 5 years ago wasn't mission critical?
Yeah, absolutely. Sustainability-oriented mission for enterprises creates some new space through innovation. And that could be new services, new products, or new value chains, or new way of collaboratively, developing new values And we have a lot of examples like that. For example, GE, has been a leader in that space. And 10 years ago, GE had a very limited R&D department in China, and now their center of R&D is in China.
Right.
They respond to and very close to the market, demand, and they centralize their effort of R&D for innovation, producing more, I would say, green or environmental friendly or energy efficiency driven products.
Yeah.
So definitively there is, but the challenge is how enterprises adapt to that new environment, adjust their strategy, and leverage, this new context, turning that challenges into opportunities.
Where are the Chinese firms in this picture? Are they way behind, a little bit behind, or are they growing ahead of the curve of the multinationals in China?
It's kind of a mix. So it's very interesting. I would say 10 years ago, Chinese companies were pretty much behind the curve. And I must say multinationals contributed a lot to China's sustainability journey and progress. Chinese companies learned from them pretty quickly.
Okay.
Like they developed economy pretty quickly. And you have SOEs, you have private companies, you have small, medium-sized companies. Of course, not all of them at the same pace of progression, but some of them are doing really well. And also the government put a lot of emphasis on that. So advocate for sustainability. And I worked for the AmCham Shanghai, where we have a lot of multinationals, but it opens up to the domestic companies as well to encourage the sharing of best practices in sustainability. I've seen a lot of examples that Chinese companies are doing very well, and some of them are catching up. But still, there are quite a number of them. I think they haven't really understood. So it's a mixed situation. But the direction is pretty good.
What catalyzes those who've taken action? What's their drivers? Is it because the leaders care? Is it because the regulations are changing? Or because, what do you think catalyzes the leaders to take this on now? Okay,
you point out two very important aspects in sustainability. Definitively, there's a driver in the regulatory space. You have the new environmental protection law. You have philanthropy law recently. Those new regulations and policies definitely played a significant role to push companies to operate responsibly. But I must say sustainability, including social responsibility, it's also very much connected with the leader's passion and vision. Typically for corporate social responsibility, some of them is not conforming to law. It's voluntarily you take that responsibility. So that depends a lot leaders' passion and vision. So some companies, they are performing very well because they have a great leader. And this is not only seen in the Chinese companies, it's also seen in the multinationals.
What's your role in that? I mean, you're considered, I think you run one of the biggest WeChat groups on sustainability and CSR. I mean, how has this changed, this culture of sustainability changed personally for you and kind of the ecosystem? Like, we now have many more Chinese are involved. It used to be very foreign-led. But tell me about how you feel about that, because you were one of the people who were catalyzing this. Like, what were the messages that you felt really were taken forward, the earliest? And like, what is it about this current generation that's different than, say, the previous generation?
Okay, I think the current generation, particularly the young-aged generation, they are very much a sustainability-oriented mindset. And this kind of a mindset impact on their behavior, impact on their consumption, impact on their career desire and ambition as well. So that's the difference between this generation and the elder generation. For my personal, experiences, since I have experienced a lot of issues in regards to environmental impact and sustainable growth, and I've seen also the trends of integrating sustainability concept into companies' long-term growth strategy. When I start to share some peers, and I had the positive echo from them, which is really encouraging me to say, wow, everybody's trying that, but there isn't yet a matured model for us to stick to. So perhaps there's a need for us to share it and create more effective way of doing that.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, you need to deliver financial values alongside social values by doing such kind of thing. It's not just about, we want to be good and we are doing something good. It's not enough. It has to be something that you find the way how corporate plays in the societal progress. And then how you bring more people along with you together to create an environment that everybody feel this is very important, this is necessary, and we know how to encourage each other to do together. So you have that social force, I would say, to move this tide forward. That's why I talked to, initially a couple of multinationals managers, and we had the same vision, and we had the need to share that to bring us up to next level. So we said, look, let's formulate a small platform. We can do that. And since then, people just join in more and more, and now become a very large, social network.
And then, I guess at the engagement level, who's the easiest or the most exciting to work with? Is it the corporate leaders, the CEOs that you obviously service, or is it the young, the up-and-coming professionals who are full of inspiration but don't necessarily have much traction?
You're right. For me, I think I was kind of motivated by these two ends. Working with the younger generation and middle-tier managers, you often got this very exciting environment that they share the same kind of passion with you. So, and you can share with them, and they feel that is useful, and you see the result out of the practice. On the other hand, it's so important that if you can influence a CEO or top leaders, and then when they come on board, they integrate that into business strategy, so the outcome brings a greater impact. So you have this two end, and I think being an ambassador, this is a typical task for an ambassador. You have to align these two sides together. You have to have this very, very passionate, skilled base, but also bring the senior management on board to drive the change and transformation.
What's the hardest part about engaging the senior leaders right now?
Okay, economy is slowing down. And as I said, we always face two aspects of this picture: financial values, social values. Economy slowing down means budget is tight. People get more cost kind of sensitive. So engaging senior management is more challenging now in this kind of economic context. You have to really, really define the relevance of what you are doing in the sustainability area. And it is so important that you go through very, very thorough analysis and identification, working with your key stakeholders to provide an insight on, okay, this is very important, that responds to the social expectation and stakeholders' concern. At the same time, it impacts on our business growth or enhancing our license to operate. Once we have these two together, it makes the task easier because you got the buy-in from both ends, external stakeholders and internal employees, as well as the senior leadership. So ambassador is not just standing up, talking the passion, bright future. It is also a catalyst for the change. And to do that, you need to equip a very, very decent skill of analytical, logical, and you need to have very good business understanding.
What keeps you personally passionate and motivated about? I mean, this is a tough job. What keeps driving you?
The things keeps driving me is you see the positive change. Everybody wants to live in a better life for a better future. I think everybody has that mindset. But a better future can only be realized with the better change every day.
Okay.
So that's how I'm so enthusiastic about. Through this involvement with my social network, working with corporate leadership team, my own practice embedded in managing the meal or influencing other leaders, I do see the positive change. And therefore, I'm very happy. And I remember there's a very famous economist in China, Mr. Mao Yisheng.
Oh yeah.
And he's very vocal about, social good and social value for economy scholar. He said, our value of life is to enjoy and feel about happiness. But the real and the true happy is to help others to be happy with you together. And that's something drives me.
Do you ever have a bad day?
I do. I do have bad day. Nothing is really working and progressing. I hit sort of the wall. I do.
How do you get through it?
So then I say, look, as I advise the younger generation, go, gaining small steps, being patient, and go together. Always these kind of things to remind me.
All right. Thank you very much for your time. That was amazing. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Richard.
Okay, yeah.